Outside of that, I'm just a goofball. I make YouTube videos and spend a lot of time on social media, and that's a passion, is seeing how I can grow that platform and leave a mark as far as virtual content and stuff.
Is that something, like, obviously you're born in 99, turn of obviously the latest century. Is that something that, well, looking at it, that's something that you're sort of really putting through to the sport yourself? I don't see it sort of coming through in Australia too much anyway.
Yeah, well, it was one of those things. I grew up at the dawn of the internet. Like, I grew up with, YouTube personalities and then Instagram personalities, TikTok, Vine. I just grew up with. So you grew up wanting to do that. And I saw, when I started making YouTube videos, there wasn't really a motorsport as far as bikes, and it still isn't in Australia. There is now in BSB. A lot of the guys are vlogging and stuff, and Johnny Ray is doing it now. And there is a space where motorcyclists are YouTubing and vlogging and leaving more information out there for people. But when I started, there wasn't, and I wanted to try and fill that void. In some ways I did, in some ways I didn't. Like, I've had videos now that have done really successful. Now I just do it for fun and for me, and to have something that I can watch back later when I'm older.
Usually, and this is probably talking a bit out of my hat here a bit, but usually races are very literal people. It's everything's mathematic. It's we get to this turn, we need to get tenths in that. Creativity is a total different thing. Where does that come from for you?
It's an emotional thing, It's when you're creating, you're not okay. If I say these words, I do this, I do that, this will happen. It's just it's a luck of the draw, and it's just about portraying your personality and having that outlet, And for me, it's an outlet. It's an ability where I can just be myself. I'm not having to give the right answers to a media personnel, or I don't have to be this uptight person at school or whatever it was at the time. I can just be me, and I can say me. And if I say something I'm not supposed to say, I can edit it out. But I can be myself, and it's really freeing and enjoying for me. And that's where it comes from.
Yeah. Do you think sometimes, and obviously watching the videos, and I watch the videos, my job is video, and I respect the videos you do, and I think the sport has to have more of that sort of thing, of people's character come through. Do you feel sometimes you might get a bit misunderstood?
Yeah, look, it's one of those things. I was born in the internet. Like, I live on the internet, I spend all my time. So there's a certain internet culture that I've grown up with, and there's certain things that I'll say on a YouTube video and a YouTube vlog that I will find very funny because I understand what it means. But if you're coming and you're just watching it because Lachlan Epis is a racer and I respect him as a racer and I want to watch what he says, some of the things I say are going to come off as really off-putting or cringy because you haven't come from the culture that I've come from. So yes, it is. And sometimes you can be misunderstood in what you're saying because I'm coming from a YouTube, when I'm saying something instead of coming from a motorcycle racer, and sometimes I don't explain myself correctly. So I've had people, when I first started, it was like, oh my God, this is cringe, this is awful, why are you doing this, stop. And now it's like, oh, you're still doing videos, what are you doing, why are you doing it? And so it's just, as you do things, you build that acceptance, and people start to appreciate what you're doing. And I think it's good fun, so I enjoy doing it.
It's good fun, and it brings a different set of eyeballs. That's the other part. So, and if you look globally, and we mentioned it beforehand, but the Paul brothers and that, no doubt when they first started doing their YouTube videos and everything, people would have been probably saying the same thing. Like, what's the benefit of this? Why are you doing this? Now you look at it, and they're megastars, and basically headlining the sport and giving their sport that they're getting into, boxing, a direction.
Yeah, well, it's like that. I know I have a small following on YouTube, nothing like, some of the extraordinary stars of like the Pauls, KSI, whatever. But it's the same thing. They built up this fan base and then went and did boxing, and they brought a bunch of new fans to the sport of boxing. And I was one of those people that came, and I started watching KSI, and then I watched him fight, and then I got interested in fighting myself, and now I've got my own charity boxing fight coming up next month. And on a much smaller scale, I've had some people that enjoy watching my YouTube videos that are outside of racing, that are just me being me. And then they see that I'm doing racing, they start getting interested in racing. So a much smaller scale, but if I can bring 3 people that are interested in racing that weren't before, then I think it's been a success.